In Sacred Space community, thank you for tuning in to another Sacred Morning Glow Up. This is the Sacred Morning Glow Up weekend edition. So you guys, I want to talk about dying to self, and that along this self-care, self-healing, self-loving journey, you are going to have to die to your old self. You are going to have to die to the self that you have created in order to survive. And a lot of you can't recognize who you are versus who you created. You have created this character in order to survive in the world. And it's not necessarily that it's a bad thing, because you needed who you needed to be in order to survive the trauma, the domestic violence, the molestation, the incest, the rape, because you didn't have the tools at that time to process this grief, to process this trauma, to process the violations in a healthy manner. You have been living in what my sister Anana Paris Harris said is a critical state of being. And because you've been living in a critical state of being, which they call toxic stress, your body has constantly been in a state of stress. You continue to create another layer of yourself in order to avoid being hurt, or what you think is going to prevent you from being hurt, in order to avoid dealing with the emotions, the feelings, the thoughts, the aftermath of being abandoned, being neglected, growing up in a dysfunctional home where maybe your voice wasn't heard, your character was diminished. If you even had the ability to build character as a child, you're not standing on a solid foundation. You don't know your truth. You can't even recognize who you truly are. There may be whispers or a faint recollection of who you were before you created this character, but you are so disconnected from her. You are so disconnected from your mind. You are so disconnected from your vision, your spirit, your heart, your intuitive self, that you are really listening to the voice of other people. You're listening to the voice of the character that you have created, which is a whole sum of your mother's voice, your dad's voice or lack thereof, the men that you've dated in your life, your siblings, society. Sometimes you have to be still long enough, not sometimes, you need to be still long enough to be able to recognize that's not my voice, let alone that's not my problem. Or when you were raised to take on the responsibility and the accountability of your parents, a lot of times the bags that you're carrying, the voice that you hear is theirs. And so you have to start putting down the bags in order to be able to just get a glimpse of a piece of clarity. Because your spirit is so cluttered that you can't, at this moment in time, recognize that many of the voices, many of the bags that you carry aren't even your own. So you have to die to self. You have to kill that character that you have created so that you can start tapping back into your intuitive spirit, the spirit of discernment. Your intuitive spirit is your power. Oh my God, if you guys have not joined us in the Sacred Space Book Club Facebook community, you are missing out on a phenomenal book. Women Who Run with the Wolves. Most of it, from what I'm gathering, is about how we are so disconnected from our psychic ability, from our intuitive spirit, this intuitive power that we have as women, that we are literally dishonoring ourselves every day that we get up and we stay in a relationship that we know isn't healthy for us. We stay in a job that we know isn't healthy for us. We stay connected to family members that we know are toxic and dysfunctional. We continue to act out on toxic, negative, dysfunctional thoughts, patterns, and beliefs because we don't know how to let go. We don't know how to surrender because there is something comfortable about familiar pain, familiar belief systems. We don't know what it means to walk in a new. We don't know what it means to go beyond the pain. We don't know what it means to live instead of surviving. Especially as African people, we have been surviving for so long that we don't even realize that our norm is dysfunctional in thought, in way, in sight, in belief systems. that we continue to operate on this very autopilot mode, not realizing that we aren't even our true selves, that we don't even know ourselves. We don't even realize that we have to kill the character that we have created in order to live, in order to be renewed, in order to be restored, in order to reclaim your power. You have to let go of the things that you are holding on to for dear life. And 9 times out of 10, it's pain. It's abandonment, it's neglect, it's rejection, it's fear, it's resentment, it's violation, it's trauma, it's PTSD, it's depression, it's alcoholism, it's drug addiction, it's unhealthy relationships. We're holding on to this familiarity that we don't realize that on the other side of that is who you really are, is your true self, is your authentic self. Tapping back into that childlike self before fear, before hate, before envy, before jealousy, before someone stifled your creativity, before someone told you that you are required to live this way in order to be successful, before you decided to use people, places, and situations as a tool for self-acceptance. You have to die to self, and you have to die daily. We get a daily reprieve in which to live. And that means every day I got to get up and reclaim my power. Every day I got to get up and speak anew into my life. Every day I got to get up and put something down that I realize isn't working for me. It isn't serving my highest good. It isn't serving the highest good of humanity. If you haven't taken this energy that is in the universe right now, if you haven't taken it as an opportunity to look in the mirror and look at yourself and say, am I truly living my best life? Or am I walking around here a shell of who I used to be? Because see, the mask and the layers are deep. You can't just pull off one level or one layer of your mask and call it healing. You really got to go into that deep, 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 deep rooted pain so that you can pluck out the things that you no longer need. Click the link in my bio, the Self-Care Self-Healing Assessment. You guys, we will discuss self-care from a mental, emotional, spiritual, professional, and personal way of thought, belief, and patterns, and see where you are honoring yourself, where you are dishonoring yourself. We're going to create a 3-step plan of action. We are going to see if you are ready to really move into true healing. If you are ready to move into the space of healing that is totally uncomfortable. If you are ready to get gut level honest about what it is that you've been willing to do and what you haven't been willing to do in order to eradicate true change in your life. You guys, like I told you the other day, I'm creating this master program with a few of my sisters. It will be an application process. You will have to go through the self-care, self-healing assessment, and we will decide if this partnership is good for you. And if it's good for us to work together, because you do have to, it has to be divine order. It has to be divine order. It has to be divine order, because sometimes you may think what I have is for you, but there may be another sister that you are destined to work with. I don't have a monopoly on healing. Nobody does. So really trust your spirit as you click the link in my bio. And if your spirit is calling you to work with me, we will, we will pray, we will meditate, we will trust the divine to give us the answer of who am I supposed to take this journey with. Because a sacred space is a safe space, y'all. It's a delicate space. It's a genuine space. It's a space that we can't allow to be tainted because I'm not good for you or you're not good for me, let alone my other sisters that I'm bringing into this. We have to ensure that it's the right season for you. It's the right step for you, because it may be somebody else for you, and that's okay. So click the link in my bio, book yourself a self-care, self-healing assessment. We will be taking applications in that manner for the master program. We're only going to be taking, at this point, I'm thinking 3 people per year, because it's heavy work. It's 24 weeks of work. My spirit is saying, well, maybe we'll do 1 person every month. I haven't completely decided yet. I still have some more kinks to work out. But I am truly excited about this this offering that I have for you guys. It's going to be amazing. So stay tuned for the details. Click the link in my bio, the Sacred Morning Glow Up.